Okay, so I got a comment that was really long and had multiple questions in it. So I'm going to break it up into individual questions for individual videos. So let's start with this first part of this. I agree with you that only love is real and fear is the illusion of the lack of love. But the illusional fear paradigm seems very real to those who are experiencing it. How do we shift out of this illusion into the reality of love? Okay, so let me go back and kind of look at this in a very unique way. Okay. I agree with you that only love is real and fear is the illusion of lack of love. But the illusional fear paradigm seems very real to those who are experiencing it. So, the illusional fear paradigm seems very real. Why does it feel real? Because it is real. Because you create through your faith, through your belief. You will see fearful things when you put faith in fearful things. And so the illusional fear paradigm is very real to them and they are experiencing it because they're putting faith in it. So that's the first part of this. How do we shift out of this illusion and into the reality of love? What you're actually asking is how to develop trust. Because to shift out of fear, you have to, first of all, acknowledge fear, the fear you're having, and break the cycle of fear. And that is literally as simple as naming your fear. Yoda, of course, my favorite sage, Yoda, named must your fear be, before banish it you can. You have to recognize you're in fear. Because here's the deal. When you are having an irrational fear, an illusional fear, right? You are giving power to the fear. You are living in the illusion of the fear. You are, quote unquote, in fear. When you're inside of something, you can't steer the ship. You can't turn it. It's until you label it that the fear becomes external. And once it becomes external, then you go, oh, it's just fear, and you can let it go. But where does fear live? Because they're experiencing it in the physical world. But fear itself is not rooted in the present moment. How's that for a surprise? Fear is not rooted in the present moment, because fear is always focused on a future event that may or may not happen, with you focused on a negative outcome. So it's always focused on some future outcome. It's always focused on some future event. But what are they experiencing? They are experiencing fearful things because yesterday they were focusing on fearful things. So they're seeing fearful things here. The way you break this cycle is you, first of all, get very present. Recognize that you are in fear. And so, and then assess what that fear is. And I'm going to tell you a really interesting thing. I have yet to find one single fear, not even one, that can't be broken down to the fear of not being loved. I have not found one. People say, well, you could be afraid of a tiger eating you. Well, why would you be afraid of that? Well, because of death. And so, okay, so why would so you're fearing death. Yeah, I'm fearing painful death, right? Well, is pain, something giving you pain, loving? No. You're afraid of a non-loving action upon you. Dying. Are you afraid of dying? Sure. Why? Because you're afraid you're going to go to hell. Why? You're afraid heaven or the other side is not going to be loving or be non-existent. Right? So that, I mean, Shakespeare himself in the Hamlet thing, what dreams may come when we shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There is the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contemplate, the pangs of a despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes when he himself might his quaidus make with a bare bodkin, right? What that is doing is saying, No one will take their life. No one would go to death if we thought the dreams on the other side, the experience on the other side, was going to be a nightmare. That's what that whole piece is about. Not, to be or not to be is about not killing themselves because of the fact that they don't know what the other side's going to be, right? The other side might not be loving. So it comes down to the fear of not being loved. Now, I said that what you're actually looking for is trust. Trust is developed by results over time. It's the only way trust is developed. Faith is a variation of trust. That faith is trusting without the empirical evidence. But trust itself is developed by results over time. So you have to do loving things in the present moment. Not worry about the past, not worry about the future. Do very present moment things and start marking the loving things that come back to you. Don't do them out of fear. I'm doing this so that I can redeem myself. Nope, that's a fear-based action. Love unconditionally. Expect nothing in return. Just love. And when you just love, you will get loving things in return. That I promise you. That I promise you. And then your trust will develop over time. But there is no magical thing that poof happens. Ever. And that's really the key to this. There is no magical thing that happens. And when we dive into the rest of these questions that came out of this comment, I'll tap more into that as well. So, but that, to me, if you want to shift out of this illusion, you've got to get very present. You got to start creating lovingly. You've got to start realizing that wanting, needing, hoping, trying, wishing are creating wanting, needing, hoping, trying, wishing. I am living a joyful, loving life, and start noticing the loving things happening in your life. Then you'll see your shift. Thank you, my friends, for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure that you've subscribed and you like it, you share it, but also comment below it. Let's get this community talking about these topics and spreading this information out far and wide so we can change the world for the better. Thank you.